To really understand Brexit, you have to understand the European Union. These are the 27 nations of the EU. The size of the text here is the size of each country's economy. I'll be adding the UK in a minute. And this is the Eurozone, countries that use the single currency, the euro. Then there's the Customs Union, a trade area with low tariffs on the imports and exports of goods. And that brings in Turkey, which is in a limited customs union with the EU. Then we have the European Economic Area, also known as a single market. Nations here are subject to EU laws and regulation, but can trade freely, especially in services. And that brings in Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. The Schengen Zone is an area of free, borderless travel, no passports needed. And that brings in Switzerland, which is not a member of the EU, but is a member of the European Free Trade Area. Just to make it more complicated, it's a bespoke region of tailored trade agreements. Okay, so this is the landscape. Can you guess where the United Kingdom is? Can you pin a tail on this donkey? Yep, it's here. It's in a pretty good position. It's part of the single market and the customs union, but it's not obliged to take the euro or passport-free travel. But we have decided to exit this system. So these are our Brexit paths. We have the hard Brexit, also known as no Deal Brexit. We simply exit the entire system and fall back on World Trade Organization tariffs, which are variable, let's say, politely. If we want to use World Trade Organization tariffs, all 163 World Trade Organization states have to agree to the arrangement, and over 600 new micro-laws, also known as statutory instruments, will have to be adopted into British law. All this by the Brexit deadline of March 29th, 2019. So another option is a soft Brexit. We leave the customs union, but we stay in the single market. Despite its softness, it's very hard to swallow this option, as we'd be subject to many EU rules and regulations, but have no say over them. We'd lose our seat at the table. Then there's the Swiss Brexit option. Get a model similar to Switzerland. It's not unfeasible, this option, but Norway has already signalled opposition to this move. They don't want such an assertive economy in such a small club. Then, of course, we have the deeply unpopular semi-hard Brexit, where we exit the single market but we stay in the customs union. This has proven very politically unpopular, so Prime Minister May forged a Backstop Brexit. The backstop here refers to the solution to the border between Northern Ireland, part of the UK, and the Republic of Ireland, part of the EU. They're not allowed to have a hard physical border according to the peace accords. So if the UK was to exit the EU, how would we control the flow of goods across that border? Hence the backstop. It's a temporary customs union. As I said, this idea is very unpopular amongst the Conservatives here, who say it wouldn't be a Brexit at all. But the hope was that a backstop Brexit, if Theresa May could sell it, could lead to a free trade Brexit, a special trade deal with the EU like Canada and Japan have. And that's what the no-deal Brexiters are also hoping for. But the trade deal with Canada took 7 years to negotiate, and the one with Japan is still ongoing at 5 years, but the EU has promised to cut us a deal by 2021. So Theresa May's backstop deal was recently humiliatingly struck down by Parliament, and some rebels have also forced through legislation to make no deal more difficult, perhaps impossible, effectively removing it from the table. Nobody wants it anyway. It would be complete chaos. But the current chaos has added a few more options to the landscape. We now have a second referendum as a possibility, another people's vote where the public can decide if they still want to leave the EU after all this shenanigans, or the most likely option now, delay Brexit, ask for an extension and see if we can sort out this mess. Yeah. Or maybe the backstop Brexit will come back in some form or another. Who knows? Actually, nobody.